young people in situations well, initially, it's just something that I just have a genuine love for family. My mom and dad, sisters and brothers, we all grew up in the same house. It's so crazy that I know each one of my brothers. It's going to sound crazy and funny. I know how each of them breathe.
Wow.
I know that my brother, when he walks down the steps, he likes to tap on the wall, and he knows what brother that is. I know what type of their laughs. I know they're each distinct laugh, even if I was blindfolded and I tell one of them to laugh, and I know which one it is.
Wow.
So that togetherness, that love, and that affection that we have for one another, we're like almost like one individual. And I wanted that same feeling. I wanted that same experience with my own family. So having my son and having my daughter and my wife, I wanted them to know that I love them.
Wow.
And love, you got to be present.
That's
Jesus
true.
couldn't die on the cross from heaven. He had to be present.
That is
so
true.
I can't say I love my kids and my wife if I'm not present.
And I think when we're talking about why marriages deteriorate, break down, or fail in the church, we're present in ministry and church, right? We're present in Bible study, right? We're present as married couples are present as married couples in the public eye. But then when you get back home, are you present?
Right.
When you get back home, are you taking time to learn those little things that you just mentioned about your own home?
Correct.
Your spouse, your children. And that could be another reason why in the church marriages are failing, because they're not taking time to be present in their own marriage.
And I think we spend a lot of time talking about the problem as it pertains to anything, as it pertains to the church, about the problems. But we know that the church has done some fantastic and wonderful things for us individually, spiritually, psychologically, mentally. So not to harp too much on the issues. Like, what are the solutions? You said we don't teach enough.
Practical.
How do we go about now changing that?
I believe that the basis of every marriage is Christ. You know, the foundation. A lot of times, it may reflect on our relationship with God, like me as a man, as a father and a husband.
Yeah.
If my prayer life is not in order, and if I'm not hearing from God as the head to be able to lead my family, or to be able to deal with situations when it comes about in a relationship and a marriage, which there will be. There will be some things where it would transpire in your marriage would blow your mind. So if the foundation, that prayer and that consistent communication with God and Him speaking in the Holy Spirit, you're not able to know how to deal with issues and problems that may come up and may arise in your marriage. So I think it's about relationship, personal. Like, that's why, coming together as one, you have to be a whole. Your relationship, your finances, and your relationship with God has to be whole in order to become one.
True. That's so funny because, like you said, responsibility and the two becoming one. So, funny story, no marriage is perfect, but you're perfect from one another. And I remember a situation where, me and my wife had a little disagreement or something like that. And she was getting ready for church, and she's ironing her clothes, and she ran out of spray starch. Now, the devil told me, he was like, yeah, that's good. Let her go to church with wrinkled clothes. That's fine. Let her go to church with wrinkled clothes.
The devil speaks.
Right. Sure. You're going to have a blouse, it's going to be wrinkled, and I'm just going to be happy because it's like, the devil don't like ugly. I mean, God don't like ugly. You know what I'm saying? So, God was just proving who won the argument. God was just letting us know who won the argument, right? Who was right, who was wrong. And now you don't have no spray starch for your wrinkled shirt. But then God told me that I still have a responsibility. Even in a disagreement, I still have a responsibility.
That's good.
So what I did was I put my clothes on, drove to the store, picked up some spray starch, and I picked up her favorite candy.
See that? That's that.
And her favorite candy. And I walked in the room. I still had to still have a little bit of macho left, and I just put the spray starch on the bed and just walked out.
She said, "Baby, go put that
spray starch." You know what I'm saying? No, she didn't say that. No, she didn't say that.
But even in that,
I mean, there would have been nothing wrong with that. You know what I'm saying? Nothing wrong with that, but at this point, no, that didn't happen. But maybe it happened after the first.
You wanted to, though.
Maybe it happened after the first service.
But
that's
even in that, you served her.
Right.
She had a need. You served. You know,
Responsibility. Yeah,
and
for sure.
kind of like what you were saying, I'm not married. And so,
You hear that, ladies? He's not married.
yet.
He's not married. So there you go. Not married. Get
But what
married.
I observe and what God shows me, and like you said, in my personal relationship with the Lord and what He reveals to me, I truly believe it does boil down to service, right?
Right, right.
Even in marriage, right? Yeah, you're serving your spouse, but you're also serving the rest of the world what is supposed to be emulated in Christ loving the church, right? You're serving them that illustration, you're serving them that example, that practical, right, experience before them, that witness.
Right.
But ultimately, are you not? I mean, if I could ask,
No, go
right,
ahead. Yeah, for sure.
do you think even in your marriages you're serving God,
For
right?
sure.
And I think that I would believe that the way you treat your spouse, the way you treat everyone in your household, the tone you set, the atmosphere, how you is a service or disservice to the Lord.
For sure. Because people are watching you.
Yeah.
Whether they say it or not, whether they like, share, or comment on a status, or whether they see you on the street, people are watching you. They may never tell you, they may never show you, but they are watching. Even now, like when this actual podcast or this video actually comes on social media, there may not be any individual that likes, comments, or shares on it, but they watched it.
They checked it out.
And they definitely checked it out. You know what I'm saying? But those are the individuals that we have to be cognizant of, that when we're treating our wives a certain way and we're treating our families a certain way, that they're watching that for an example, and people are watching for an example. And there's a lot of people that have been disappointed and hurt and have given up on their marriages because they saw someone else's marriage fail that they had faith in.
Yeah. And also, I was thinking that even when in those times when you're going through, some people they react differently, and some people just kind of isolate themselves in their marriage, and you don't want to tell anybody, you don't people in your business.
Yeah.
So, and I think in church, I believe that you can seek some sources of therapy or counseling.
For sure.
It's not against the Bible. It's not against the word. The Bible speaks about seeking godly counsel. So
True.
people, it's okay to go to therapy or to speak to someone and get some advice. To help your marriage instead of letting things get from bad to worse. And like, nah, we good. We're gonna pray. We praying about it.
Right.
And it just grows and grows, and then the Splitsville. And we're like, oh, what happened? Y'all just got married.
Right.
You know what I mean? You had a beautiful wedding at Jericho. Everybody have their weddings.
But that makes me think about other areas in the church where, if you hear of a brother or sister who's ill and sick, we'll take the initiative to pick up the phone and call them. How you doing? Do you need anything? Maybe you go visit.
Yeah.
Maybe, my church missionaries go if they need help cleaning or washing clothes, whatever. If we were to kind of pick up, something's not right, where one of the practical things, a solution could be to just check on each other. Right?
That's true.
How's everything?
We live in the day and age, Marcus. People are very nosy, and it's like, as a married man for 10 years, you don't know if people are genuinely caring about you.
That's true.
Or they just want to, they have a problem. He walked out to church and they walked out separately. They drove two cars to church.
I think it's also people don't like perfection. They don't like perfection.
Wow. Which is something we got to work at.
Because a picture of something deemed as perfect is always a reflection of your own personal life and struggles. So it's always seen as, oh, but he makes her smile. Why doesn't my husband make me smile? So instead of it becoming you admiring, you start to envy. And you lie and wait for the moment for her to stop smiling.
Whoa.
Because she needs to feel what I feel. And when you have a perfect marriage, or in the eyes of the public as a perfect marriage, it's like, no, everything can't be as good as they're making it seem. There has to be some bones buried somewhere So the world doesn't like a perfect situation. The world loves comeback stories because they enjoy flawed people. That's why
Right,
the
right,
love and
right,
hip hops are so prevalent and so popular because it's a bunch of
That's
flawed
true.
people and they see themselves in those flaws.
Wow.
So that's why it's a popular show.
Wow.
But if the Cosby Show came out today, it wouldn't be popular. You know why? Because who has a dad that's a doctor?
Not relatable.
And who has a mother that's a lawyer? You know what I'm saying? It's
7
not
kids.
relatable. And they all go to way to historically HBCUs, historic black colleges.
Yeah,
No,
yeah,
that
yeah.
doesn't happen. We need to see something ratchet because that's our lifestyle. That's our story. So it's the worldview of let's ensure that this perfect story becomes imperfect so we can cheer it back on that we had a hand in it becoming perfect again.
But that's going back to looking at your own personal marriage as a ministry to the world, right?
Yeah.
If you're supposed to show the world how Christ loves the church, right? Being that example, being that witness should compel you as a husband to kind of check in with the other husbands at the church,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Right? Because it's not just my marriage, but marriage in general, right? And if my marriage is not going so well, I would hope and pray God provides somebody that I could feel comfortable enough to trust and
Right.
confide in and say, how would you deal with this?
Right,
How would
right.
you know?
Correct.
And then on the flip
Correct.
side, to have the humility to say, my brother's in need of a situation that I've gone through.
Correct.
Let me drop some wisdom to him. Let me share with him what I went through. May not be the same testimony, but here's what I did, at least.
Right.
Where are the men of integrity? And that's my question.
Yeah, yeah.
Because a lot of us are messing up. You know, like we cannot be faithful to our wives. We're so unfaithful. We talking to that one. It's like, who do you have today that you can honestly say, listen, he's someone that I can look up to in ministry and marriage and family, a mentor.
Wow.
Right.
Well-rounded, that you can actually take your problems, but listen, I'm struggling with this. There's not many. And the question is, where are the men?
That's true.
of integrity?
That's true.
Well-
I mean, not to cut you off, and just to give a brief shout out to guys like Randy Hurd, that's faithful to his
Yes,
wife.
yes.
Guys like Bishop Richards, Jay Stockton,
Definitely,
faithful to his wife.
definitely.
Examples of high character
They are
men,
there.
integrity,
Indeed.
men of integrity that's going to stay faithful to. And I'm pretty sure that there are others. My brothers, Davon and his wife, and my brother Sean Monestine, Shadon Monestine, Gabrielus Monestine, my dad, Overseer Gabrielus Monestine.
They're there.
There are men out there that are really putting on for other guys and letting them know that you can remain faithful, that you can remain, humble, and you can stay grounded in your family, and that is enough. But unfortunately, there's even Andrew Wilkins, guys like
Yes,
him. I gotta
yes.
shout out my guy Andrew Wilkins. But there's so many Ishmael Hall. I'm sorry, I got so many people.
They're there.
But there are people out there. But the problem is that we look to the celebrities in the world. And then we look to, and I don't even know how this became a thing, but like church celebrities.
Wow.
I never knew nothing about church celebrities
Wow.
until more recently. I'm like, oh, there's people that's popular in church. I didn't really know that. But there's quote unquote church celebrities. And we got these young guys that are coming up in ministry that want to be young pastors. Not want to be, I'm not saying that you want to be young, but you want to,
desire,
you desire for, a better term. So you come up in ministry and you admire these guys. And then when you finally meet your heroes, quote unquote, it's like you wish you never met them.
Wow.
Because
You learn.
it's like, wow, you learned they're a fornicator, they're a liar, they're adulterer, and I'm not saying people are without flaws, but if you just blatantly sin, like, I don't care, I'm going to sleep
Just
with
out
this
there.
woman and I'm going to get up and I'm going to preach and
need
prophesy.
deliverance and
You know what I'm saying? And like,
You need to be at the altar.
right, you on the pulpit, and while while you praying, you scouring out which woman you going to sleep with tonight. It's like, all right, let me prophesy to you because I can't wait to get you home. You know what I'm saying? And all of a sudden, your wife is going home in the car with the kids, and you in a separate car being driven by your adjutant, and he's taking you to the hotel with Sister Susie and them and guarding the door, and he got all your secrets and all of that other
We
extra
just gotta
stuff.
do better.
It's like we gotta do better.
But I think that goes back to, like you were saying earlier, the teaching. And I would say being willing as men, as husbands, to submit to a covering where
Right.
you are held accountable.
Held accountable.
So even if you don't have the courage or you feel discomforted with check-ins or periodic challenges and how to communicate that, you have a covering that is taking up that responsibility. Talk about integrity, saying, okay, if these men are in the ministry that I'm covering, let me find out what's going on in their marriages. Not to be nosy, but to make sure that they do know that there's somewhere they can go to when they're challenged, and that they do have somebody who's genuinely caring for the success of their marriage. And I think that if we continue to, as you just did, esteem those who are in those positions,
Right.
let them know I appreciate
Right.
your marriage and what you illustrate to me, because I'm learning from that, right? And I'll be, if I could, in all transparency, I'm learning. I'm learning. Like you said, people are watching, and I'm learning. I'm looking at your marriage. I'm looking at how you treat your wife. I'm looking at how you serve your wife with your children. I'm looking at how, when you're in ministry, and then you're in the actual service, in the church service, and your children are caring for your wife is caring for the children, and how you express your appreciation for that. Being vocal and verbalizing that, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think that would help, hopefully, prayerfully, build a level of confidence where when I do get married, y'all will be able to then check on me and say, what's going on? How is that happening? How is that? Because I've already taken the initiative to say, hey, I'm watching you.
Right.
I'm learning from you.
Yeah.
I'm observing what's going on. And it's laying a foundation for me of what to expect in my marriage.
Right.
So hopefully that those who aren't married could be more vocal. Those who are would take the initiative to say, this is what you might appreciate in your marriage when you do get married. When the Lord bless you, you might appreciate this. And then when you do get married, so how is that working?
Right.
How is that working?
Right.
How is this? Because I think that's another form and way that we should love one another.
Correct.
Right? Love one another. Like you said, if you're going to love somebody, be there.
Be there.
And it's not just
Gotta
in
be
the
present.
confines of your actual marriage, but if I say I love you, I don't need to be all up in your business, but I need to know you're good.
Genuine concern.
You're good.
Genuine concern, for sure. For sure.
We kind of got off what he was singing in the beginning about sex and marriage, or I believe in the scripture says the marriage bed is undefiled. We spoke about that also. So we can dive a little bit into that because of.
Well, not to cut you off, but to segue kind of back into that, even there, right? I don't know how you would phrase it necessarily, but checking to make sure that husband is serving wife and wife is serving husband in that area.
Right.
Because unfortunately, a lot of times it is taboo, but unless someone takes the initiative to have that dialogue, open a conversation, there'll be a whole bunch of...
And you got to be mature.
Thank you.
Individuals are too immature when it comes to certain topics.
It's not a secret.
Sex. It's not a secret. If you read the Song of Solomon, if you see the song, you read the Song of Solomon, it's like no one preaches from the Song of Solomon. Like the book is just not even there.
It's there.
It talks about all types of things, and it's like, it's crazy. But at the end of the day, we got to ensure that, again, and our producers saying we got to wrap it up. But overall, this conversation has been great. We still got more coming, so thank you so much for watching. We appreciate you. Just look out for more videos.
Stay tuned.
To be continued.
Later.
Thank you again.
No doubt, man. Appreciate